Everyman Podcast. What's up, bro? How you doing, DC?
Yeah, baby. What's going on, man?
Well,
Happy
as you
Monday.
can see here, happy Monday, happy fun day, happy Wednesday, because that's when you're listening to this. And doing something a little new here today. We're gonna hop right into our guest interview. So, sitting to my mirrored right and on your left on your screen, we just had a big confusing section of troubleshooting. If you've ever thought how many smart, technically savvy, engineer type people does it take to figure out if the iPad's mirrored or not, the answer is it took 2.
100.
And then 30 minutes of the other one's time. So
Yep.
we got it figured out. We're here, and of course, joining us today, we've been talking about him for a few weeks. He's a good friend of mine. I've known him since I think I was about 16 years old, one of my first jobs at Best Buy. He's the man behind the camera, our director on the Everyman announcement trailer that we were so thrilled with. Ladies and gentlemen, Rob Mickles.
What's up?
We love you, Rob.
How you doing, brother?
How's everybody doing? I'm doing fine. Doing fine.
Had to give you a little touch there. So Rob, you and I, let's just touch on how we met. So, like I said, we both grew up kind of in the same area, and then we found each other via Best Buy. And it's funny, like I met a lot of people I still am very close with and still work with closely in the band. You know, shout out Morales, Cirio, Jose, of course. I mean, so many people that I kind of came together at this time at Best Buy, and I feel like someday they can maybe we can make a documentary about all the talent,
Yeah.
Best Buy
the
reunion.
talent that was at that store, and then went off to do a lot of other things. So, tell us about who are you? What do you do? What do you do for a living? Let's start with that, man.
Well, I am the co-founder of 360 Digital Studios, with a main partner and a part-time partner that I've known since 5th grade. So, Brian Benson, Pat Woodruff. And mainly what I do there is I'm a director, a cinematographer, and a editor. So
Now, when you were a kid, like, is that what you want to do? Is make filmmaker like that? That's kind of what you had in mind.
I might not have known it, but like since I saw Jurassic Park, I kind of realized then that that's something I wanted to do. That was the first time there was a lot of like behind the scenes stuff and things like that on TV, like showing you how they made the film and stuff like that. And I was like, wow, that's a job. And then
Sweet.
it kind of spitballed from there. And I always like played around with like my dad's like VHS camera. He like bought when I was like.
So you were making like army figure videos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I always had a fascination for taking photos, and then later videos as I got older, and then it got so much easier to start making videos around a certain point. And I think I've talked about this specifically about you on the podcast, where every creative thing that I've done, you've filmed it or had some part at some point in helping me put that together. And one of the common things that we talk about on the Everyman Podcast is stepping into somebody else's project and helping them make something happen. So when we had Kenny Aronoff on, legendary drummer, rock and roll Hall of Famer, legit star, he can go into Elton John on Monday and Steve Miller Band on Tuesday, because he's able to connect and figure out what do they want and how can I help them make it. And I really kind of thought about that when DC and I came over to do that trailer shoot, because I knew what I wanted in my head, but I couldn't really verbalize it in a way that was coherent. And then we finally made a connection on something that we had a mutual interest in, which is, of course, to everyone's surprise, would be pro wrestling. So how did you develop that skill of being able to work with people as a director? Because we're going to get into the technical stuff and the filmmaking stuff, but right off the bat, I want to hit that kind of that teamwork mentality of getting in. What is your goal and how can I help you accomplish it?
I think I just developed that over years and years of doing it. I mean, we technically started our company when we were in high school.
Nice.
And did it as a part-time thing until about 2009 when we went full time with it, and we've been full time with it ever since. But I probably started to learn to really work with people, and get what they want, when we started with pro wrestling videos when we were in high school.
What were you doing with that?
We used to shoot just like local like indies. There was, I think our first one was UWF around here in like Fairless Hills with a Madman Moose Moretti. He ran the company.
There's nothing more like they say, like, you know, college football is like, you know, Daryl, the love of the game. Like that's where everybody plays for the love of the game. If you want to see people that really love shit, go check out like an independent wrestling show, because those people, they're putting themselves through the same things, if not worse, for the love of the game. It's amazing.
And then towards like the end, that was like probably like 9th grade for me, 10th grade for Brian, and towards the end of high school, we kind of stepped up a little bit and did a few things in like Philly with like 3PW, and there was like something like HWA, and we did a few things for CZW back in the day. Cool.
So you kind of stepped into pro wrestling just because you were interested in it and you were kind of available. Is that kind of how that worked?
Yeah, and then it kind of like grew to like music videos, and then once we got out of once I got out of college in 2009 and we went full time with it, we started working in reality shows. So we did like things before like YouTube and stuff was kind of a thing. It was a thing since like 2006, but once it started to become more of what it is today, that was probably around like 2008, 2009.
The evolution of reality TV.
We were doing like short little like episodes of like reality spin-offs for VH1.
Sweet.
What shows did you work on?
It was spin-offs of I Love New York and I Love what was it? I Love New York and I Love Money. Guys named the goat that went by TaylorMade and It. They were kind of doing like their online spin-off, and VH1 was interested in having us do that as an actual show on air, and unfortunately there was like a whole situation that just killed.
There's always a situation on those shows, isn't
it? Like killed.
It's always something.
Like somebody like that was on I Love Money 3 and Megan Wants a Millionaire like killed himself and his wife or something like that. And that killed like all those love shows that they were they had in development.
That'll do it. You get a suicide.
So there was
homicide on
supposed to be like an I Love Money 3 and 4 and 5 that was already shot and that never aired. There was our show that we were starting that got greenlit right before this happened. So we were about to go to camera and shoot like a whole season, and boom, it just killed it. So
might have been for the best.
But we did a few more pilots since then. And
explain to our listeners what a pilot is, because that's something we don't really get into. We've had some filmmakers on the show, but we never really talked about the process of like how like what is a pilot and what's the point of that.
A pilot is kind of like a proof of concept for a TV show, or like a proof of concept for even a film. So like it might be like a fake trailer for a film, or like a short version of a film that's like almost like a prologue or whatever. Yep.
The old sizzle reel.
Yes, sizzle reel.
Sizzle
reel can be, I guess, kind of considered a pilot for a TV show or a movie. But it's kind of like a first episode or a sizzle reel.
It's like the visual mixtape, kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
And
which we shot plenty of pilots for different reality shows that were all over the place.
And there's got to be like 10,000 to 1 for every show that makes it on air. There's thousands and thousands and thousands that get made that just get kind of tossed aside. I'm sure there's some real gems in there.
It's funny. One of the ones that we did around that time was, I think it was like summer 2009, like early 2010. We were working on it. Was for this show called The Twin Life. And now those twins are on TV like every week. Like
Really?
everybody knows who they are. They're on like
they found their way.
90 Day Fiance or something like that. They found fame through that.
Wow.
So
Daryl, a couple years ago, and this was probably like I don't know. I was probably like just 21. I bumped into Rob at a bar nearby. I don't know if you remember this, and we were catching up. I hadn't seen him in a bit, and you told me like, yeah, I got this idea for like a gritty live action Pokemon movie.
yeah,
and I was like, we started talking about. We're like in this crowded bar, like just ridiculous place, and we're like sitting there talking about this gritty Pokemon movie, and then Rob laid out this like scene to me, and then fast forward 9 years later, and I'm sitting in the theater watching Detective Pikachu, and that like underground fight scene with like the cages like was like pretty much what we talked about, and I was like, God damn it, we had this done 10 years ago.
That feels like it happens a lot to me, and I guess that means that my ideas are good. I just gotta follow through.
You just gotta get it. Yeah. But well, I mean, the Pokemon Company. I mean that license is probably a hard nut to crack. But I always just thought that was amusing that because it was so specific to like the vision you had for how Pokemon could be, and at the time, everybody was still super like the, I don't know what you call it, edgy stuff was not really popular yet. Mm-hmm. Funny world, man.
I still have yet to see that movie. I have a copy. You haven't
seen that?
I have a copy of it, but I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, you got to see that, dude.
I've had it since like last like Thanksgiving, probably.
You bring this just a little
bit closer.
Yeah. Give me a little here.
There we go.
Yeah, that's good. That's real good.
That's real good.
That's real good. Let me tag that.
It just feels so weird to be so close to
something that's not that's shaped so like but isn't. Yeah. So on the Everyman Podcast, we talk about collaboration, and we've been talking about that a little bit here. And I want to kind of briefly run through kind of how we did the trailer shoot, because people have seen it, and then we talked about it on our end, but specifically the process of bringing something that's like an idea from a text into color and depth is something that's like really amazing to me. And do you feel like you have an ability, like an extra sense to visualize things out? Because I can describe things, but I can't really visually display it or sketch it or even explain to you what it looks like. Like it's just the way my brain thinks. So like when I work with you and Daryl, especially, because Daryl, you're like that too, man. Like I can tell you like a couple weird phrases, and then you get the whole visual build out. And like to me, it's almost like I'm only able to see like 20% of a project, and then like the visual piece comes in, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's the shit that was around my piece. I just don't explain it. So how do you work on like how do you do that? From reality stuff to like your own film projects. What's the key for you in developing that skill?
I think whenever somebody's explaining something to me, I just see images in my head. I see it when I like listen to songs, and if I like read a book or something, I see the images. I see very like cinematic, like vivid images in my head. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's something that like everybody.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But
that's a
that's something that.
Is that how you work, Daryl? Is that kind of how you vibe?
No, well, like for me, like it's weird. When I'm editing or if I'm putting something together, like for me, it's music. Like it's like I don't know if it's like a chord, or it could be just for me it's like there's a tone to everything that I can cut or edit to. Like it's in my head though first, and then like if something like I could be like I was on the phone with clients today talking about different projects they want to do for a series for the network, and they were like, okay, well just tell me what the objective is, and they'll tell me the objective and just a couple tidbits, and then like I'll just hear almost like a chord in my head, and I'm like, all right, cool, I know how this is going to play out just based upon like a sound or a mixture of sounds. And
so then you kind of catch inspiration from one thing and then build around it.
Oh yeah, seriously. And everybody's different. Like Rob, you say it's images. Like for me, it's music. Like I cut all of my music before I even edit. Like I'll edit my music to time, and then I'll just throw images on top of that because to me the music moves it all because that's gonna really capture you. You know, other people like we had Kaz on the show, the drummer. You know, Justin, and he was talking about like for him, he saw colors.
Yeah, synesthesia.
You know what I mean? So everybody's got their thing. You know, everybody's got their thing.
Yeah, for me, I need like a tactical battle plan with like lots of. It's I mean everybody's got their own creative path, but it's cool. Like I admire you guys, Daryl and Rob, your ability to work on so many different projects with so many different tones, like and not just the tone of like what's the voice of the project, but just the visual palette, all those things. It's impressive.
Well, Justin, it's like to me, it's just kind of like our interaction with films here and the stuff that you've put together for some of our programming. Like the moment I heard your music, I was like, oh, this is football. Like you know what I mean? Like this is Extract. This is football all the way. Like, and I immediately once I heard it, I was like, all right, this is sound effects. This is mic'd up. This is Super Bowl. This is NFL matchup. This is Turning Point. This is, you know what I mean? Like I just, I knew it as soon as I heard it. So
where it's where the baby's got to go to bed.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's what they say. I heard Steven Seagal say that, so you got to put the baby to bed.
Yeah, lollipop.
We've been talking, Rob, on the podcast, and also on Everyman Podcast.tv, the Twitch channel. We've been talking a lot about Steven Seagal. And our kind of it's more than an admiration at this point.
It's an infatuation now.
It's an infatuation. It's like not only do I'm entertained by this man, but that's only 50% of the interest to me. 50% is the man. It's kind of like me and Vince McMahon. Like I just find the things you hear about him are so insane, and then you see like he's got a T-Rex skull on his wall, legit multi-million-dollar. Yeah, in his office.
Oh, yeah,
it's like a $40 million.
I think I've seen or heard about this.
It's real,
and
it was used to be a rumor for years, and everybody thought it was a joke. And then, in one photo a couple years ago, they caught the edge of it in the background, and then they started showing it on the documentaries and stuff. And now it's like, yeah, Vince has a T-Rex skull. That's the kind of guy I want to hang out with.
Apex.
And I'm Steven Seagal. I think he probably. I think he's probably got some cool fossils himself. But we've been talking about action movies like in the 80s specifically. And, when we all got together, when we were, Daryl, myself came over to your studio and office there, we were talking about, horror films and B films and all that stuff. And so ever since that night, really, I've been watching a lot of them. And I was, Invasion USA with Chuck Norris and just the practical effects, all that kind of stuff that was in those films. And I know in seeing your work, like your shorts that you do, and like I'll come over to the studio one time, stop by, and you've got a whole friggin' alien ship hallway built that you're doing test footage and stuff in. So I wanted to get your kind of feedback on like with movies, like where do you lie on that? Do you want to see more of the practical stuff? Do you like the CGI? Like what's your take on that?
Definitely more practical. But CGI when done well, which is kind of rare, to be honest. I feel it's weird. I feel like some of the best CGI you'll see was in Jurassic Park, and that was one of the first uses of CGI to that level, to create entire digital characters. It's weird, but I definitely appreciate the practical effects more. Like the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies should have been costumes. The costumes look so much better. Like
it was too much distraction.
I can believe that. Whereas
that's it.
CG has no I guess physics to it. It's just whatever, which might be part of the reason why I don't like Zack Snyder's movies that much, because everything looks like a video game and has no sense of the laws of physics.
I don't know why everybody's so excited about this Snyder cut of Justice League. They're like, oh, it's Justice League, but now it's 5 hours long. I don't need 3.5 more hours of that movie. You know what I mean? I don't get it.
I mean, I'll watch it. I'm kind of excited to watch it, but not.
That being said, I'm definitely gonna watch it. But you get what I mean? Like, give me something.
Not that excited, because I think there's only 3 movies now that I like that Zack Snyder did. The Dawn of the Dead remake.
Yeah, that was great. That was filled with practical effects too.
Yeah.
People forget about that one. That's kind of like slipped off into the old memory hole there.
What about Avatar? What do you guys think about the CG effects in Avatar? The camera and all that. Was that
the last Airbender or the
James Cameron?
James Cameron.
Yeah, James Cameron. Avatar, that first one.
I only watched it in the theater once, and that's the only time I've seen it. Yeah. But in IMAX 3D, it was a spectacle. It was like I think that was more so distracted me from. I think I enjoyed the spectacle of it more than I enjoyed the actual story or the CG or anything like that.
I think with that, when it was out, that was like cutting edge. I saw it. I saw it on like half watched it not too long ago, and still looks good, But I'm sure the next one, whenever those come out, is going to be even crazier. But I don't mind stuff like that when it's mixed in. I think Sonic did it really well when they mixed the two together.
I think for the most part, Transformers.
Dude.
Especially the first one, they did a really good job with
those Transformers CG. Movies were great, and then it just went, whoa, what are we doing here? I
mean, I still like them all, but Bumblebee was actually surprisingly
I enjoyed
good.
Bumblebee.
I liked it because it was because it took place in the 80s. It had
John Cena was a bad guy.
Yeah, had the Smiths on the soundtrack a bunch of times. So yeah, I was into that.
Yeah, it's been cool to see these movies, like these comics from my childhood, cartoons and stuff, turn into movies. And they did the G.I. Joe one a couple years ago, and the second one was pretty good. Mm-hmm. I think they still got to take another crack at that.
I don't know if I've seen the second one.
It's good, dude. Ray Park plays Snake Eyes. Nice. And he's like that does a lot of the fighting and stuff is pretty.
Is The Rock still in the second one?
Yeah, but he's only in it briefly.
Okay.
And that was the problem. Like that was like it was supposed to come out, and then The Rock became huge, even bigger. He had like his big wave, and they delayed it a year so they could film like 3 more scenes with him, and because they just I don't know, they thought The Rock wouldn't be needed in the whole movie. I don't know why you would have The Rock only come in for 20% of your movie. You know what I mean?
What are they going to do when The Rock runs for president next?
Oh, dude,
we were just talking about that.
It doesn't matter what they're gonna.
I hope he goes for it, man.
With some of the stuff that was going on, like with Vince McMahon, like being named like the in charge of like reopening the country and everything. I'm like, when's The Rock gonna come out and like rock bottom him or
I know. Yeah, Vince was on the
Stone Cold
the board of business owners. Really, I think he was in there because of the sports thing, because it was like Adam Silver and Goodell, and then I just started thinking, like, can you imagine? And we're not going to get into the political sphere here at all, but just the hilarity of like a Vince McMahon sitting in with Trump and then all of those business people. Like it would, I just would love to see what that was like.
Dinosaur heads.
Yeah, I mean, it must have been. It would have been crazy.
Anything's possible now.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not ruling anything out. I'm ready for the UFOs. I'm ready for Bigfoot.
Let's do it.
Nothing's gonna surprise me. I'm ready for the Bigfoot boys.
Any moment, I'm waiting for aliens to hit.
Yeah, that's definitely on the playbook
for sure.
That's the last defense is calling the aliens.
Michael Bay's Armageddon. Actually,
chest bursters
becomes a reality.
Yeah, they have to send oil diggers up to the moon instead of sending astronauts to teach them how to drill oil.
Supposedly, like asteroids, a couple times, some big ones like nearly missed us recently. Well, within the past few weeks.
Yeah, I saw this. There was one that was like Earth killing that they knew like 9 days before, and it was like, well, it's here. Let's hope it doesn't hit us.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, about your business, and then they just put it out like, oh, by the way, asteroid almost hit the Earth. Like, it was between us and the moon. It could have turned us into the Stone Age.
It was by like a million. It's weird because it's like
we could have died.
It barely missed us, but it was by like a few million miles or something like that.
Yeah, but it was within a lane that the danger zone, as they say.
The question is if they knew one was coming right for us,
I don't think they tell us.
I don't think they tell us, but
No,
like
they
when
couldn't.
would we realize it? Like
They.
would it be like the Michael
They.
Bay movie, like where like these little ones are like
Birds start falling.
yeah.
Well, my buddy said a bunch of birds have been dropping dead in his lawn, and he found this big fat dead mouse the size of a potato, and could be that, could be a demonic child. I don't know, because I've seen that play out too,
Yeah.
where you have a kid that's a little, you know what I mean, a little bit too in touch with the dark arts, starts making things happen. Next thing you know, in the shower, you're washing your hair, and then you feel fingers. And I've seen, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, dude,
I know how that
dreads.
plays out. We could be. Yeah, like all the magnets are going to start getting weird because there's like this new, magnet thing coming. I don't know. They definitely wouldn't tell us.
No, they wouldn't.
No.
I mean, would you want to know though? Like, would you want to know?
Yeah. I'd want to know.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, if you know and there's nothing you could do, like, what's the world gonna look like?
You're gonna
for
party.
for those
Yeah,
few days.
that's what I'm
you know?
It's going to look like Independence Day when they're all up on the roof
yeah.
and they're having that, and it's like 90s rave, and they're like, Elvis, beam me up, and then it just blows them up.
Well, they did legit like say something about like admit that there was like UFOs. Like,
Yeah, they casually slipped out, and you guys can Goog this for yourselves, but the Pentagon and the Department of Defense declassified this so-called Tic Tac video. If you Google Tic Tac UFO, I'll put it in the show description for you guys. But basically, this video leaked out in 2017 through the New York Times that a fighter pilot who happened to be the third ranking officer on his vessel, so it was a real serious dude, highly trained guy, gets this Tic Tac looking thing on camera, and it outmaneuvers the jet, and it actively jammed the radar. Joe Rogan had a big podcast episode with the pilot, Commander Fravor, on there. And the video gets leaked out to the New York Times in 2017, and they never acknowledge it. And people are like, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake, it's fake. And then for some reason, in 2020, they started like putting stuff out. And, one of the things was Commander Fravor came on Joe Rogan and said, yeah, this happened. And then the video came out, and then somewhere around early March, Pentagon was like, by the way, this isn't our aircraft. We don't know what it is, but it's real. And then that was it. And then I said to Daryl, I'm like, dude, hello?
Yeah.
You're acknowledging that there's something that has air superiority
that defies the laws of physics.
that defies the laws of
Right.
physics is an energy, and I'm over here paying my electric bill. What's going on here? Like,
Yeah,
that's
I need to
really...
know.
It's. I think they need to talk to Zack Snyder about it.
You think he knows?
He might know.
Who do you,
Right,
if you
probably
if you
does
had to pick one person in Hollywood, guys, that knows, that's been dropping hints, who do you think it is?
That knows.
Yeah.
The nose?
Yeah, you think it's Spielberg?
No, it's Steven Seagal. He knows.
Seagal knows. I bet you he does
He
fucking
knows.
know. That's why he...
about the conspiracy with the space.
I know all about it. First thing here, this is a quantonium phasar.
First,
You
you have
put
to
your-
drink my light energy drink.
It's Tom Cruise knows.
Oh, yeah, he's so insulated. You got to be careful. We shouldn't even say his name on this podcast.
He'll get up and start running for like 3 minutes.
I heard if you say his name 3 times into a live mic,
He jumps up and down on your couch.
you get a knock on your door. Yeah, you get a knock on your door, and him
Him and Oprah together. Everyone gets a.
Oh man, yeah. I bet you she knows some things too.
Oh, yeah, she probably knows.
If I had that much power and money in media, I would demand to know. You know what I mean?
You get the truth, and you get the truth. Everyone
Right.
gets the
Because
truth.
I'd say, all right, I'm just going to start making shit up then.
Well, I feel like they either don't tell the president about aliens,
I don't think they do.
or they don't know for sure, because if they did, Trump would have told everybody by now.
Exactly. If there was that, I don't
What is
think
that?
the presidents know.
He would have blurted it out.
But also, I think there's, because they talk about, there are parts of the government that are permanent that kind of overlap presidencies and stuff, and they've got to keep the whole thing going. So it makes sense that you
Or
don't.
maybe they just didn't tell him. They told Obama.
I don't
They
know,
know he
because
can
Bill
keep the
Bill
secret.
Clinton gave a pretty good explanation about it, and he was open. He said that he went and asked for it twice directly, and they told him, "We're not telling you anything." and you don't need to know. And he's told that story a couple times, and he seemed, I mean, I don't know who can tell who's saying what these days, but
Well, I mean,
Oh yeah.
he definitely said like, hey, I tried. They said no.
he also was pretty hush-hush about that Epstein Island.
Hey, there's another name that'll get you taken off the YouTube, the blank island. Yeah, there's another.
Will it?
That's another goog. Yeah. That
Gotta goog that.
there's a couple things. Got a couple things you guys got to goog for yourselves. That we just cannot utter those forbidden words, or else.
Help me, Jeebus. Help me, Tom Cruise.
Help me, Tom Cruise, help me.
Help me, Jeebus.
Otherwise, the space demons will get us. But yeah, there's a lot of. It's an interesting time to be alive. A lot of interesting stuff that comes out in art. You know, I finally watched The Color of Out of Space.
Oh yes, Nicolas
fuck?
Cage.
The fuck was that, bro?
Blows your mind.
It's very similar to that segment in Creepshow, the original Creepshow movie.
Yeah, I'll have to revisit that.
It's like there's a segment, because Creepshow is like an anthology, like
Yeah.
Tales from the Crypt or whatever. And there's a segment where Stephen King himself plays like this goofy like farmer that finds this like space rock.
Really?
And it's
Yeah,
very similar. And I think he actually said that it was inspired by the Lovecraft story that
That's
what you call it was based on.
The thing about like every now and then, and it's always a movie that you don't expect. It's I guarantee you it's never like the movie that's number one in theaters, you know. But like The Color Out of Space, like I watched that and that affected me for like a couple days, like thinking about like what, not only what the fuck did I just watch, but like what is this story trying to tell me? Because a lot of times there, you know, these common tales, like whether they're Little Red Riding Hood or, you know, all those kind of things, Hansel and Gretel, like they're types, like archetype stories over time, and sometimes there's elements of there, and it's like you're kind of it makes me think like what information are you trying to tell me here? And then you get all that just wacky ass imagery, and like that scene where it's like I said, Daryl, like did she summon a demon? Did she really open a portal to hell, and that's what the whole thing is, and that's why the rock came, and like it really messed with my head, like just that one scene where she gets all taken over and she has the vision.
Yeah.
And then like what
Where was the spoiler alert?
Oh, the spoiler alert is that Nick Cage is the Easter Bunny. That's the spoiler right there.
Dude.
Yeah, we don't. You know what? I'm glad you said that. Let me just tell you something, guys. We're gonna spoil some shit.
Yeah, we're gonna.
There will be spoils.
Yeah.
From henceforth,
Spoils will be had.
Spoils will be had.
You know what? You need for Color Out of Space. You kind of need some spoiler.
You gotta warn people what they're getting in for.
Well,
A fucking mom and her fucking kid are gonna like
Melt into each other
and melt into each other, and they're gonna become a praying mantis that like
That was
nearly
some
rapes
good,
a daughter. So like, yeah, you.
That
need
was
to be
some good practical
You need a
shit.
spoiler alert on that. That's
the-
ridiculous.
The thing about spoilers for me, like something like that, like if I didn't see the movie, I'd be like, okay, like where does that fit into the context? So like it doesn't feel like a spoiler.
No,
really. Like
mild.
if you're saying like these little things, it kind of doesn't feel like a spoiler.
If anything, I'm saying watch it because it'll make you think. It's a good time.
Prepared before you see like dude, if my mom just was like chilling and she just melted into me and we became this fucking hybrid praying mantis entity running around the house, somebody needs to tell me what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, heads up.
I need
But
to be
people do like freak out over like the smallest like little bit of information about a movie that they haven't seen. It's like
that's fan culture for
I
you.
recently saw like I watched these guys. We watched a movie, the great like podcast like YouTube channel. They were talking about how like it was like bullshit that like the fact that Dr. Sam Loomis is in Halloween Kills like was spoiled for everybody. It's like, how is that like spoiled anybody? We know that there's like flashbacks to 1978, so of course he's
got to be in there
some
somewhere.
capacity.
Well, I think also
And they were like super, like they were super pissed, and other people were like super pissed about it. I'm like, how is that much of a spoiler? People get like a little too
Yeah,
upset
some
over
stuff
like
is ridiculous, though.
the littlest tidbits that they consider a spoiler.
That's that fan
Like
culture.
Yep.
like sometimes I don't consider telling information a spoiler if you kind of figure the storyline is going to get you there eventually. Like
No.
I was in Rite Aid the other day, and I'm like trying to get a couple monsters and some big cup Reese's, and some dude in the line was talking about Naruto Shippuden, and I love Naruto. Like I fucking grew up on that shit. I love it to death. And then I'm just kind of like just vicariously through the conversation, I just say, how cool was it when like Naruto became Hokage and now his son Boruto, and this girl that was kind of checking me out, like got super pissed. She was like, "I don't watch anime, and how could you spoil it for me?" I'm like, "Fucking dude, like Naruto's dream was to at one point become Hokage. You knew it was gonna fucking happen. Like
You knew it was. You knew what was
it's-
coming.
you
Hokage.
knew it was coming. Like, come on. I'm sorry you didn't watch the last 300 like us
Nah.
devoted fans did.
And it's
but,
not like
you
it's
know.
old. I mean, it's new, right? Isn't that like a couple years old?
Dude, yeah, like it's like there's a whole new series where like it's all about Naruto's son now, Boruto. So like she's like super behind. I'm like, dude, I do not. I
Yeah,
am
you
not
better get
feeling
yourself
sad about
a.
that. Like,
You better get yourself a Crunchyroll subscription and catch up, girl.
oh yeah, dude, come on.
It's like The
that's
Walking
not a
Dead.
spoiler. That's like
Dude, I gave up on The Walking Dead so long ago.
Oh,
It's too
yeah.
much.
But it's like
It's too much.
a lot of times it closely follows like what happens in the comic books.
Right.
So it's like
And I read the I
it's
read them.
already out there.
Yeah, like it's a book. You can find out what's going to happen
Yep.
for the most part.
absolutely.
Yeah, because that was kind of my problem. Why I probably didn't like it as much is because I read the comics when I was in high school. I had all the trades, and I loved it. And then I started watching. I was like, come on. I became one of those guys. So that's why I kind of try to stop cross pollinating my entertainment. I try to keep my wrestling
It's
over
not
here and
big
my.
cross-pollinating. I love that.
We're all about the cross spray here on the Everyman Podcast. I did watch a few more. On a note on Mr. Seagal, I did get a chance to watch Sniper Special Ops with RVD. A lot of great military lingo in that.
Is that a WWE studio?
You would think it is, but it's not. It's a Seagal Steamroller Films. It's his own production. It's really, really good. And I watched, again, not what I was expecting. I just go through the Nick Cage movies, and I just pick
There you
one.
go.
And started watching The Frozen Ground, but it's about like this guy based on a true story. This
Is
guy
that Disney thing?
yeah. It's like it's just like Frozen. I was thinking it was gonna be like Frozen, the Disney thing. Turns out it's about a guy that kidnaps and keeps girls hostage and kills them. It's very. I watched about 30 minutes of it, and I was like, this is not a Saturday night flick. So I'm gonna revisit
off
it because
that.
now I want to see how it ends. But it was great cast. John Cusack is in it. Nick Cage. Good time to be had.
Hey Rob,
Except for
let me
those
ask you a
gals.
question. Let me ask you a question, Rob. Do you ever feel like with all the stuff you've done, I know we're talking about movies and stuff, but like all of the things that you've done with respect to editing and producing, directing, camera work, all of that, do you ever feel like there's like this like one earlier project that you started that like still stacks up to some of the coolest shit you've done most recently? Like I got a project I know, like I did this video for the MEAC conference like a billion years ago, and like I can go back right now and watch it and like I fucking balled out on this. This is like my best work.
Yeah.
You got something like that, like you did old school that you're like super proud of? Like, man, I know this is dope. Like even by today's standards.
Yeah, I think there's probably a few things. Some of like the shorts that I did when I was in college, like actually still hold up. A couple music videos we did like early on when we went like full time.
Dude, music videos, sweet.
Yeah.
Dude.
Can you talk about the one? The thing I'm thinking of.
They're the ones that
Can
I'm
you-
talking about. They still hold up like
Can
quality
you?
wise.
Do you want to talk about, or can you want to let people find out for themselves on that? You don't have to talk about it if you don't want
what
to.
the Black Madam?
Yes, talk the Black Madam. Yes.
Yeah, we did a couple videos for this artist named Black Madam. Halfway through post production on the or almost done post production on the second video, and I get a call from the Philadelphia Southwest detectives saying that they want to talk to me, and it's really not funny, but yeah,
It's a funny setup though.
yeah, funny. I guess funny setup, but like what happened isn't funny. But basically, I'm like, okay, do I talk to you on the phone or
Right.
whatever? They were like, we prefer to meet you in person. So they like
Damn.
came to my like parents' house. I was living at my parents' house at the time, and they said it was about a video that we did. And I'm like, shit, we didn't get a permit to go film on like the art museum steps or something like that. So now we're like getting busted or something.
Oh, shit.
And they show up and they have this picture, and they're like, "Do you know this woman?" And here it's Black Madam, and supposedly she was doing these like butt injections, like this like backroom like plastic surgery stuff, and
Filler,
she ended
like
up
filler injections.
She ended up actually like killing this girl from it.
Oh no, dude.
And it like the music videos were all over like CNN and Fox News and stuff like that. And it actually like got us like work because people like saw like clips from the videos and like went and found them and found out who did them. And so I guess that's good that came out of it, but I kind of feel bad about like what actually happened, even though I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
But it was kind of funny. Like the detectives like were like, yeah, we saw the videos that you did. Really good work. like out of nowhere. Like
It's good stuff. Very artistic. I like
he
how
like
you...
looked at his like partner, and his partner was like,
So like why were they did they just want to know like a character witness? What were they looking for?
We were the only person that knew who she actually was.
Oh, because you had done business with her, so you knew her actual
we knew
name.
where she was and everything.
So
like
her
that.
name really wasn't Black Madam, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, how about
Surprisingly, I was kind of shocked.
That seemed like a Christian
but
name.
yeah, I mean, other than that, like she was actually like a pretty good person, like to us, like a good person to work with for the most part, and like she had us come over like on Thanksgiving after we were done like dinner with our families and stuff, and she like gave us like tips for like doing the video, and like we ate dessert over there and stuff like that. So it was kind of shocking to see that happen, and kind of a little upsetting. But she's like actually in jail, like
Damn.
currently, and she wrote a book and apparently like included us in the book. We have a copy of it, but I haven't read it.
Dude, do you think you guys will be in play if she does a biopic?
I don't know. Like,
Wouldn't that be an interesting Cosmic Canoe moment?
Yeah,
You know?
we thought about that. It's like, do we try to get the rights to the story and like actually make the, and who's gonna play me? You know, like Vince Vaughn or something.
Can I play? Yeah, Vince Vaughn, extremely handsome and tall director.
I used to look like Vince Vaughn. I was told back in like 2005.
Yeah, I could see
when
that.
I was like 17 or 18.
Yeah, if you do that, I want to be. Me and Daryl got to be extras in there somewhere.
Yeah, have to be.
We got to be like bouncers, or maybe we could play the detectives. That would be a great role for us. We could make our debut as like a buddy duo. You know, like we're like a good cop, gooder cop or something.
Yeah, I kind of thought of that as a thing, but
hey,
it's so hard to get funding to do things to do films. Yeah. But other than that, like the film, to go back to your question, the film that I'm actually finishing up now, we actually shot most of it in 2012 and 2013, and I still think, even though we shot a few movies since then for other people, like this still holds up. Like it's gonna look and sound like a real movie, you know?
Yeah, dude.
So
yeah, I can't wait to see it. I've seen little, every time I come over to the studio, you've got some new little part of it that you're working on. It's been cool to see it come together.
It's pretty much there, and the goal, barring any catastrophes or lack of money or lack of being able to do anything that's out of control, like, it should be ready to submit to festivals and maybe have a few screenings by August. Hopefully,
I could be interested
finally
in a screening.
Yeah.
So as we wind up here, we talked about how you got into it, what you're doing with it currently. If somebody wants to kind of take their thing to the next level, whether they're musicians or they're looking for a camera operator or something, how can people get in touch with you? How can people reach out to the business? Where's all your stuff? How do we do that?
We have 360digitalstudios.com. That's 360 the numbers. That links to our Facebook, our Instagram, our YouTube and Vimeo and all that. You can also email and call us and text us, whatever. So
You do, and you're up for business, right?
Yep.
Corona be damned.
Yep.
Be
That's right.
damned.
And our studio space should be good to go sometime hopefully by July.
Yeah, we got to do. We were talking about a watch along. I think that's. The hardest part would be deciding what we would watch because we're just so passionate about our films. It's got to be something truly special. I did sign up for Shudder, by the way, which is pretty sick. I'm enjoying that.
Yeah,
We're watching Color Out of
Big
Space.
fan.
Ugh, I don't think I can watch it again, man.
It's decided.
watch it again.
Color Out of Space.
Okay, now we're gonna really dig into this part where she melds into her son. What do you think about that, Daryl?
Check it out. Look at her
I watched
spinal
that,
cord
like-
that's wrapped around her neck.
You know, if you want to know what it was like for me after the first live stream, go ahead and do that double quarter pounder with the Big Mac sauce. Go ahead and check out Color Out of Space. Skip forward about 45 minutes. That's what I was dealing with. It was raw.
Dude, the sounds your stomach was making was ridiculous, bro. Oh my god.
Hot mic
It was
too.
amazing.
Caught on mic. Next time I'm gonna put a mic just on my stomach so I can really give it to the people so they know maybe might add to be like a new effect, belly sounds. Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for hanging with us.
Thanks for having us.
Rob.
Thank you for helping us make our trailer, cool. And as you can see from our new intro for YouTube, we're using a lot of that footage that we shot there. Can't wait to do some more with you. And you heard them. Check them out. All those links are going to be in the show notes and on our post there. So tonight, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern,
8 p.m.
twitch.tv/the Everyman Podcast in your web browser, everymanpodcast.tv in your web browser, or just type in the Everyman Podcast in the Twitch app, and your boy DC and Brother Jay will be holding it down live, cutting it up. So if you enjoyed this talk, if you're looking for some visual stimuli, hit up Rob. And check us out on Twitch tonight at 8 p.m. So with that being said, Rob, thank you very much, my brother. DC, I will catch you. I will catch you when I catch you, bro. It's going to be hard to catch you. You're a strong man. You're a fast man.
Fast man, strong man.
Fast man, strong man. All right, brother. Be good.
Thanks.
Later.